So, well, I'm really excited for our conversation today, and really glad you're here. When we first met, and I can't even remember when it was or in what context. I think it was through a networking group. Um, one, I was like, oh my, holy shit, there's another Asian woman in the Valley. Like, I got to go talk to her. And second of all, you are in a line of work that I don't meet a lot of people who are in. So, like, I've met matchmakers,
Mm.
or people online giving, women relationship advice, but your work is so specific. So, um, let's do a quick intro. Like, tell us who you are and what do you do?
Yeah. So thank you so much, first of all, for having me, Wendy. I'm
Yeah, of
excited for
course.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my name is Mayan, and I am a love coach. And specifically, though, I'm not like you said, I'm not a matchmaker, not a dating coach per se, but we do help people get back into dating. But really, what I do is help people uncover what is actually keeping them from having what they want.
Yeah.
So many of the women that we talk to, and when I say we, actually run my business with my fiance, so we do our coaching together. So that's
Yeah.
another thing you probably don't, see come across very often is,
Yeah.
a couple working together. And so the way that when we meet women, when we talk to women, a lot of them are so self-aware already, right? They've done the therapy, they've done all the work, and then even though they have awarenesses into, oh, I know this is my block, I know it came from childhood, and yet when they go home at night, they're still repeating the same pattern. And so we look at why do we do that? Why do we sabotage ourselves when consciously we're saying we want this thing, but then our actions don't reflect it, and our results also don't reflect it. So that's the heart of the work that we do, is to excavate and uncover what's really going on underneath that you might not be aware of. It's like in your blind spot, so that you can break through it and actually create the results that you want, and specifically experience a loving partnership that's healthy, lasting, all of those great things in your life.
Yeah. Well, so you're saying that women can't just show up and find love right away. They have to do the work, you know? I love that. I mean, because in some ways it feels so aligned, yet also so different from what I do, right? Because a lot of what you're talking about is figuring out what are your old patterns, what are the stories and
Yeah.
the patterns that are holding you back. And it's very similar in the work I do as well with the women I work with, right? Like whether it's because with you, the outcome is finding the love that they've always
Mm-hmm.
looked for. And
Yeah.
for me, I look at it as, I'm helping women to really uncover the gift that they have, their
Mm.
potential, to really, tap into their true potential and not just working on the surface level. So you said that you are not a dating coach. So what's the distinction for you?
Yeah. So when I think of dating coaches, and I mean, so I was married for almost 19 years. And when that marriage ended, I was 39. And so at 39, I went back into the dating world, and I had no clue how to date again. I feel like my dating age stopped basically at 20, because that's when I stopped dating. And so I felt like I was clueless, right? And I started following all these different dating coaches who would, like, I remember buying scripts where they're like, learn how to text a man so that they'll get back to you or ask you out and all those things, right? And it's like, do they work? Yes, right? These are strategies. But if you're putting strategies on top of a belief system, let's say, for example, I had a belief system like not worthy, right? Not good enough.
Yeah.
And so if I'm coming to a man, if I'm, getting approached by a man, if I'm in an interaction with a man where I'm showing that even at a subconscious level that I don't feel worthy, it doesn't matter what I, text or say to you, like you're going to feel that, right? And
Yeah.
I'm going to do something that might actually sabotage the relationship, right? If you don't text me back within a day, I might get in my head and be like, "Ooh, he doesn't like me. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what's going on?" Right? And start like texting him a gazillion messages and blow up this budding relationship, right? So
Yeah.
there are things that I had to learn and work through and see what's going on underneath before I can actually apply these strategies, because like, in your work, right? Like you can tell people to do something that is good for them, that's moving them towards their goal. But
Yeah.
if they have resistance to doing that thing, they might be sitting on that action for weeks and weeks.
Yeah. It's so true, because what you're saying is people, and I agree with you that people jump straight into strategy when they do not know yet how to be the person to implement the strategy.
Yes. That's
Right?
really well said. Yes.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you got to be, it's kind of like that saying, like, what got you here won't get you there. So if you've always operated under this subconscious feeling of like, you will never get the love of your life, right? And then you try the strategies of
Yeah.
dating and all that. Yeah, I could see how that won't really get you the result you want. So I'm really curious, because you said that you read all these books, these like, dating with the dating tips and all that. There was this one book that this woman, this was like many years ago when I was still in my 20s, this woman, she brought this up with me and she said, oh, she knows, she has a friend who, and I know exactly who she was talking about, somebody we went to school with. She just looked like a Victoria's Secret model. Like she was tall, slender, very shapely. And you just saw all the guys around her just basically like just tailed her everywhere.
Drooling.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, she was one of those kind of women. Like, I believe that
Yeah.
all women can be very attractive, but sometimes you meet these women, you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
They kind of meet the societal standards, right, for people. So she was one of those women. And apparently she used this book called Why Men Love Bitches. Do you know that one? And
I haven't read it, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
yeah, I try to read it. By trying means I read parts of it, really triggered me and I had to put it away. So, but apparently this lovely, lovely woman, she used it as her Bible, of how she navigated relationships. And what was interesting is that even though externally she was really beautiful, women were jealous of her, guys were in love with her, she was also still very deeply insecure. Even using the strategy, she was still very insecure. There were still remnants of feeling like she did not deserve love, right? And so, and she wasn't somebody who was like not confident. Like on the outside, you say, oh, she's super confident. And I don't know, do you see that like in your work, that women who are super confident and have their shit together, but they still just don't really know what they're doing with this part of their life?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say that's like the number one thing we see is the women that we talk to and work with, they are killing it in their career. Whether they're, working for someone else in a business or they have their own business, like they've got the achievements, they've got the accomplishments. And for some reason, love is like the one piece they can't seem to figure out. And it's a little like, it's hard on their brains, because it's like, if I'm successful in this area, why doesn't that translate to the other area, right? And so there's a few things going on where we often see that, and this might be hard to accept or hear, but the skills, the tools, what actually got you the accomplishments and the success in your business, in your career, is actually most likely the tool that is rejecting or repelling love for you as well. Because for so many of these women who, and I consider myself one of these women, like type A, get after it. I got goals. I got things I want to create in the world, right? Impact to create. And at a very young age, I'll take myself as an example, like growing up as an immigrant, in my family, my culture, I was taught from an early age that we've got to accomplish, we've got to achieve things, right? And so I've learned how to do that. I've learned to be excellent in the work that I do, right? Hardworking, committed. And so those skills created the success in that area of life. But if I don't know how to turn that off and create the space for a partner to come in, and actually, especially the type of partner that I was looking for, someone who is also a leader, right, in his own right, someone who can set the vision for where we're going to go as a couple, someone who can be strong when I'm, when I'm high in my emotions, he can handle it versus like, just backing down or coddling me or something like that, but like really holding the space while I'm going through those emotions, right? These are qualities that a lot of women who are strong are also looking for. But if they don't recognize that, if they don't let down their guard and allow their soft side, right, their vulnerable side, the feminine energy side to come out, then the dynamic is actually going to push away the type of man that they're looking for.
Yeah, I think what you're saying makes so much sense because it kind of makes me think about this conversation with another friend some time ago. She was, again, killing it, boss babe, all that stuff. And, she was having a hard time finding someone who could resonate with that energy. And then, one of the things I said to her was, you can't do relationships like you do business. Mm-hmm. Right. You just can't, right? Because the goals are different. The objectives are different. The parts of you that need to be present and need to show up is different. And not to go on a tangent, but it kind of reminds me of the saying that some people use and that I actually wholeheartedly disagree with. It's this idea that how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I completely disagree with that because because they're just examples upon examples of how people compartmentalize their life and how their values in one area do not translate to values in another is because they've compartmentalized their lives and they compartmentalize what they put energy into, Sure. And it's kind of like what you were saying, like for these women, they're frustrated because they're like, I know how to do things. I make things happen. Why can't I make love happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm such a catch because I am beautiful. I'm educated. I have my own money. I have my own whatever. I can take care of myself. I'm not even asking you to take care of me. Like I am here and ready. Like why won't someone show up? And I think that's the frustration I hear with a lot of women who, especially women who are a little bit older. Mm-hmm. Right. So I don't know if you've seen any age differences or any generational differences in how these women show up for themselves when it comes to relationships.
Yeah, I'll say, so a couple of things come to mind as you were talking. One of the things that I hear a lot is that women will say, men are intimidated by me, right? Like, I don't know why, but like men are intimidated by my success, by what I've accomplished, right? And I argue with that because I don't think that's true.
Okay. All right. So for all the women who are saying men are intimidated, okay, tell us what's happening.
Yes, there are some men who can be intimidated due to their own insecurities, right? But I would say most men are not intimidated. That's just the word that they're using to communicate with you. What's really going on underneath could be some form of, you know what, she's projecting this energy of I've got it, I don't need a man, I'm independent, like all of those things that we just talked about, right? Like them being so strong in their masculine energy, essentially, their doing energy, that there doesn't feel like there's space for a man to come in. Mm-hmm. And so the easiest way for them to communicate that, rather than going in and saying all of that, is she's intimidating, right? But that's not truly what's going on. It's because they don't feel like there's a space for them. And they're going to go where there is space for them, where they feel like they can provide value and step up and serve you. But if you're not giving off that energy, then they're not feeling like they can fit in there, right? So I think that's one piece that I would love women to, be open to hearing that. And then the other piece too, I think, is so many women, especially like the older women, because they've accomplished so much, they can say like, I know I'm the prize at a conscious level, right? They're like, I know.
How old is older? How old is older?
I would say like 40s, 50s,
okay,
beyond. Okay. Yeah. So like you've gone through your career, right? You've grown it. You're kind of at the space where it's comfortable and maybe you're working on the next level, but like you've got some confidence in you. You've got some accomplishments, right? And so you feel confident and you feel like, okay, I know I'm a good catch. I know that I'm the prize.
Yeah.
But a lot of these same women, if you were to ask them like deep down, or if they are, telling you their inner thoughts, there's going to be a part that says, but I don't truly believe it.
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
I should believe it, but I don't truly believe it, right? It's like there's something unworthy living inside that is in conflict with them. So
Yeah.
even though, like, on paper, they know that they're the prize, they know it, but they're not embodying it. And that's the conflict, right? You can say one thing, but your actions are not in alignment. You can think or say, like, I know I'm the prize, but you're like, who you are at your soul level doesn't quite believe it, right? So it's out of alignment. And until we get everything in alignment, it's going to be hard for you to get what you want, including love.
Yeah. I mean, what you're speaking to is just resonates so much because I've been doing a lot of spiritual work recently, and a lot of it is touches on this thing where, like, you cognitively, on the cerebral level, you
Yeah.
may know that, hey, I've made it, I've done this, I've done that, but the sense of unworthiness does not get replaced by accomplishment. And I
Yes.
think that's the thing that I think our society tries to teach us, right? It's this idea of meritocracy. If you work hard enough, you'll get everything you deserve. And so if you feel like you are not confident, if you feel like you are not worthy, then just do more things, accomplish more things, and then that will take care of it. But we know that sometimes some of the most accomplished people are also people who are still deeply insecure.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And, when people say fake it till you make it, right? Like, on some level, maybe that works, but it's like, the way I think about it is, if you're writing affirmations and you're writing, I'm awesome, I'm awesome, I'm awesome 100 times a day, but deep down, you don't actually believe it. Every time you're writing it, your mind is fighting you. It's like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Right. And it's like, it's almost reinforcing that you're not awesome because you don't actually
Yeah.
believe it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the fallacy behind fake it till you make it, right? Like, I never really liked that term because to me, I was just having a conversation with another woman on this, is that, sometimes to my own detriment, I am too authentic. Like, at least back when I was in the corporate space, I was, which is why I think partly I was not as successful maybe as I could have been because I just did not play chess. I did not play political chess with people.
Yeah.
And I think, for me, this idea of like faking it till you make it also just did not sound like, it sounded out of alignment with me. I felt like I needed to try it out, see where I can go, and then I can make it. Like, I have to kind of
Yeah.
basically do it. So my motto really is just, you got to do it, lean into it rather than
Yeah.
faking it. But like the work with, the work that you do, I find that it's so profound because I, I still meet women today who have never been married but have been very successful in their career, and they're yearning for this love, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, what are the women like, the ones who end up talking to you? Like, are they at their wits' end, or is it a split between women who are kind of like, oh my gosh, help me because I just feel so alone and I don't know what to do? Or are there women who maybe are like, you know what, let me get preemptive and figure out how I can be the best version before I get out there? Like, what do you typically see with the women you work with?
Yeah, I would say most of the women that we work with are kind of like at the wit's end. But like, more so that they're recognizing that they keep repeating patterns, right? It's like, whether I keep attracting men who show that they're interested, and then through, once we get in a relationship, then things start to fall apart, right? That could be a common thing. Or maybe I just don't, like, we have one client, I love her. When she first came to us, she was like, she called herself the one date wonder because she could not get past the first date, right? And so she couldn't understand why that was happening. And when we did our work together, it became very clear why that was happening. And then once we, shone light on it, shone, is that a word? Shined.
Yeah. You shined. Yeah. No, you're good.
Okay, good. Then it was like, oh my gosh, no wonder, right? I've been walking around with this, not knowing that I was like radiating that, like broadcasting that to other people. And therefore, and so once we shifted that, rewired that, really pulled it out from the root, then she started showing up differently. Then people responded to her differently. Then she started getting second dates and third dates, and now she's in a committed relationship, right? And so, and she hadn't been in one for 10 years, over 10 years. And so it can happen really fast once you figure out what's going on underneath and then rewire it.
Yeah. That is so powerful. I mean, just, it must be fulfilling, so fulfilling for you, to see that kind of result, right?
Yeah. So it's amazing.
Yeah. So, earlier you were talking about how, when you, got out of your really long marriage, you felt so new to dating again. Is that what triggered the sense of like, if I need help in this, then other women probably will need help? And is that how you got into this work?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So by the time that I got divorced, I actually had already been working in this and helping women with coaching. So I used to be in IT. Okay. I was in management consulting. I help, agencies, government agencies build websites and all these different things and software. But pretty much from day one, I was like, this is not for me. But as the good, obedient, daughter, and like, I just kept going and going. And then probably, 10 years in my career, I was like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep climbing the ladder because where this ladder is leading to, I don't want to be, And so I started looking for different things. So I took classes like, yoga, art classes, like all these different things. So I'm like, okay, maybe I have some hidden skill that I haven't uncovered yet that I'm like determined to uncover. Nothing came out of any of that, but I did have this experience where I accidentally stumbled on learning feng shui. And feng shui is, seeing the connection between your internal well-being, what's going on internally, and the external environment, and like really using that to create what you want. And I had a very, so growing up, I had this, I'm Chinese, right? I was born in Hong Kong. And growing up, I would see my dad do these silly things, like brilliant man, college graduate, and he would put 4 pennies in the 4 corners of our house. And he'd be like, we're going to get rich. And I'm like, Dad, no, we're not. But that was my perspective of feng shui, right? And so this lady one time, she gave me a reading and she was like, you're going to help women with feng shui. And I was like, oh, hells no, like I'm not going to be the token Chinese lady, feng shui lady, right? So I like super rejected that. But then when I had this experience with taking this huge dresser out of my bedroom, and the moment that I did that, I physically felt better. I felt like weight was lifted off of my shoulders. I was like, my mind felt clearer. Like I felt a tangible shift in my experience. And I was like, oh, this is what feng shui is. And so then I became kind of obsessed. I went through a certification program and I basically created an accidental business out of it because I was just so like excited and passionate. And all my friends were like, oh my gosh, do my room. And what I found was that all of my clients were women who were single, who wanted to be in relationships, but had unknowingly decorated their space to reflect that they were single, that they had fears around being single or being in a relationship actually. And it was just like pattern after pattern. So I'll share something real quick with you that you might find amusing. So it was very common for these women to have artwork in their homes of like one single woman. So whether it could be like Wonder Woman, right? Like a very powerful figure, but she's single, or just other artwork of one woman. And I was like, wow, like there were no couples, no, symbols of love. And what do you think that's reinforcing day in and day out, that they're single, that, and I even had one client, I was like, I'm just curious, do men tell you that they feel like you're so independent that you don't need them? And this is the woman who had Wonder Woman all over her apartment. And she was like, how did you know that? I'm like, I'm just guessing. So based on what's already there in your space. So what I found was that our space leaves clues because our subconscious put them there for us to find, right? There are ways to uncover what's going on in our lives through our space, through our words, through our results. And so I realized that I needed more skills to help these women, because what was going on was like what we've been talking about at the belief level. There's something at their identity that is not safe for them to be in a relationship. And until we shifted that, no amount of feng shui is going to, work, because really you need to work on yourself before you do the external changes.
Absolutely. So. I mean, I feel like that's a golden nugget right there. Like whatever change you want to make in your life, I feel like the human tendency is try to fix whatever's external, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I think, like you said, like whether it's with love, whether it's with your performance, potential, it all starts here, And I feel like as part of my maturity is recognizing that I have to also surrender to what the next level calls me to do. Right. Yes. Because I think that's the other piece, with my spiritual work that I've been leaning into, is that I'm seeing that, a lot of us strong women, because we've been strong and it's gotten us here. And a lot of us have to be strong also in reaction to maybe feeling unsafe. Right. And that this idea that you need to surrender a little bit to maybe whatever the next level calls you to do feels unsafe. Because we're so used to taking control. So, and I feel like in some ways with love and relationship, you have to surrender to the other person too.
Yes, because you don't know, it's uncertain. Yeah, the outcome is uncertain. Like even if you pour your heart out, you love this person, 1,000%, like they could still leave you or not want you. Like there's that vulnerability, but you have to trust enough to be like, okay, no matter what happens, it's for my good, right? Like no matter. And that, like you said, it's whether it's in love, whether it's in your business, like you gotta have trust that it's gonna work out, have faith in it. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not gonna even put yourself out there.
Yeah. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So I know you say you and your partner, you work together in this business. So I'm curious, you focus a lot on women, and then, of course, in any relationship, it takes two. So do you ever work with men? Do you ever reach out and mentor them or give some type of that perspective of how do they need to show up? And I ask this because I think this is a huge topic nowadays, right? Of, more and more men are feeling quote unquote lonely. They call it the male loneliness epidemic. I have certain perspectives on that. I think it's the male consequences epidemic, because I think part of it is also, we've had a really long time where just not a lot of women felt safe or had the agency to, to voice their own needs, to voice their desires. And now that they can, because, they're able to get a job, they're able to buy their own home, they, quote unquote, they don't need to have a male partner in order to achieve those things. So they're saying, okay, I'm going to opt out. And so the other side of this phenomenon is that we're also seeing the huge divide between the genders now, right? And then we're also still seeing an increase of male to female domestic violence. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, not that we need to go into all that dark stuff, but you work a lot with women and you work on this with your partner. What's the avenue for men?
Yeah, we do actually work with men. We have male clients. And surprisingly, I mean, it's kind of funny, but a lot of them come to us because they are the ex-boyfriends of our clients. So like they'll date and then, they'll recognize, oh, you know what? This is the type of woman that I want to be with. And she's like at this level in terms of personal development, in terms of emotional intelligence, personal growth, all of that. And so like they're wanting to rise up to that and recognizing that she's done work on herself and that there's room for them to grow as well. And so that's one way that they come to us. And then another way is our clients will actually send their boyfriends to us because, there are things that they're dealing with, because like our our mission is not just to get someone back in the dating world and get you in a relationship, because you can easily get in a relationship if you want to, but our mission, our passion is to get you in what we call an epic 11 out of 10. Not 10 out of 10, but like 11 out of 10. Even better than what you could have imagined, right? We want you to be in the type of relationship where your kids look at you and they're like, that's the type of relationship that I want, that mom and dad or mom and stepdad have, right? And that when your friends look at you, you're like, wow, like I'm inspired by them. I want to be like them and see like what are they doing that we can emulate and model so that our relationship can grow. And the type of partnership that we're talking about is like one that spirals up, right? As I get better, I inspire him to get better. As he gets better, I'm inspired. And so we're like uplifting each other to continuous growth and expansion, right? And so when we work with clients, it's not just, so we love working with singles because when you can work through your baggage and you're not bringing that stuff into your relationship, you can choose a better partner, right? One that's actually aligned and can be fulfilling your relationship because you know exactly what you want without the baggage, right? So you can choose better. And then we teach you the skills to actually, once you get in a relationship, how do you nurture that little like seedling when you have a relationship? Because that's when a lot of relationships can go south because you don't know that you're getting triggered. So you think it's the other person, right? Like, you did this to me. It's like, wait, hold on. They just rubbed up on something, a wound that I didn't even realize I have. And now I'm able to, if you have that reflective nature, if you can see it for what it actually is, then you can see it as, oh, this is an area that I can actually work on and be free from it. Like one of the metaphors that we use is landmines, right? Like we, at a very young age, when we got hurt, we implanted and we buried these landmines and they're all over the landscape and we don't even remember where they are. And so when our partner comes in and steps on them and it blows up and then we get triggered, right? We get angry, we get jealous, we get all these different emotions, not realizing that it's like he just stepped on it. He didn't implant it, right? But if we can recognize that, then we can look at, okay, where did this actually come from? And how can I work on it so that it's no longer a trigger for me, but now we're working together to move past it.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of work, So I commend your clients who do step in and do the work. I mean, it's like the work, again, there's some parallels here, like with my clients, right? Like they have to have, I always say, I attract women who have at least some baseline of self-awareness and self-reflection. Because if you don't have those skills, I can't teach you. Because you're not even willing to step in if you are not self-aware of your gaps. And if you do not have, I would say, the humility even to recognize that maybe, just maybe, you are part of the problem. And I think that's the other thing I see is oftentimes with a lot of strong women is that, again, the sense of hyper independence, like I can do whatever I want because look at my life now. I've built this so I can do whatever I want. So no, other people need to adapt to me. I know what I want and this is what I want, period. Right. And it takes a level of humility to take a step back and go, I may have a certain preference, but I need to also recognize where I may show up in not my best self. And I can't demand somebody else's best self if I'm not even willing to step in to look at my own gaps. It kind of sounds like, your client base or like the women that you attract also in some ways need to have that level of baseline awareness.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I love that you brought that up. I mean, if we don't recognize that, we're the common denominator when there's things that keep happening, right? And if you're looking at, wait, this person did this, but I'm the person that's showing up in every situation, right? Like if you're not humble enough, like you said, to look within, and then also if I just lost my train of thought.
No, it's great. No, thank you for affirming me. I mean, so if I can be vulnerable for a minute, I think what you're saying, it's like, I think the start of my own internal rewrite, right? Because I think it's an ongoing, like personal development's ongoing. But I did this rewrite right before I met my husband. And I had gone out of a horrible relationship. We don't need to get into all of it. But I saw a counselor who helped me understand why I had, why I was, why I kept going into relationships that ended up hurting me, whether they were short term or it was a really long term one I had just left. And she did this exercise with me, and then I was able to understand what my patterns were and how I was showing up in those patterns. Basically, I was chasing love and validation. And if somebody pulled away from me, to me, I made it my mission to get their attention back. And part of it, a lot of it has to do with how you're raised, right? How you got acknowledgement, how you got praise.
Yep.
And, as you could imagine, being part of an immigrant family and also being Chinese, growing up as a kid, you had to earn love. You had to earn love through academic accomplishments, through a certain good girl behavior, right? Like you had to earn that. And so I recognize that I carry that into how I approach love and relationships. I felt like I had to earn the other person's love through my sense of giving, through how I provided, acts of service. I guess that was the phrase I was looking for. Through acts of service, through my own, just like, how can I demonstrate a certain behavior? How can I show up in a certain way so that I can be deserving of your love? And once I recognized that, and I was able to say, okay, actually, no, that's not how I want to show up. And then I met my husband, and he's still around today. So
yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story and your journey around that, because it's exactly that. Like, it's like our upbringing, there's all these different factors, but they imprint in us of how we think we need to show up in order to get what we want. So in your case, it was earning love, right? Earning it, accomplishments, like validation, affirmation, all of those things. I can definitely relate to that growing up as well. And for me, my story was similar but different, right? And maybe sharing both of our stories, someone's listening could relate to something in between or either of our stories. But for me, I also had that, like I said, the earning thing. But I also, as a baby, my parents sent me to live with a nanny. And so I would hear as a small kid, like, oh, you didn't live with us. You live with the nanny, because my mom had postpartum depression. She couldn't actually handle both me and my sister. And so she just thought it was best to, send me to go live with a nanny. Well, I ended up in the hospital, and my dad ended up, he's like, we've got to bring her back. And so growing up, I would hear these stories of how when they would come to visit me at the nanny, I wouldn't even recognize them. I would just cry, right? And what that did for me was that I associated that I don't belong. I better be obedient. I better, do whatever I can to not be kicked out of the family so I can earn love in that way. So I became a people pleaser. And you can imagine, like, how does that reflect in my love life moving forward? Yeah. I was also a people pleaser, right? Like, I did not want to rock the boat. You say you want something, I'm going to go along with it. I kept my desires small. I kept myself small, right? But I had no idea this was what I was doing. Yeah. But having done the work, like, that revealed itself. And then once I broke through that, then, the type of relationship and the partner that I attracted is completely different. So.
Absolutely. And because you were behaving out of fear of being isolated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, and right. Because it's like, okay, you're not here, you're over there. So, and that probably for you was like, before, you got into the work, that's probably like the thing that you avoided at all costs. Like, do whatever it takes so that you always belonged. And,
yes, exactly.
Yeah. And I think, for a lot of people, I think for most people, unless you've had like the perfect childhood, which I don't think exists, But for a lot of people, especially millennial women, and we're going to be in that age range of the women that you're talking about, like we're, either approaching our 40s or approaching actually our 50s.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us grew up in the generation where we had these kind of stories. We had these kind of childhoods, right? And so we bring in a lot of that wounds as baggage into our love life. And again, I will strongly encourage people to get rid of that saying of like, how you do one thing is how you do everything, because that's obviously not true. I see this, in just just think about the one area of your life that maybe is not as organized or not as disciplined, right? It's like you see people who are successful in business, but they feel like they are a failure at love, right? And I put failure in quotes because I don't necessarily believe that. But you may feel like that, or versus, you might feel like you've achieved so much and you're at the peak of your career, but maybe health wise, you're actually at the bottom quartile,
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we have to stop assuming that just because we're really good at one thing and we're good at the thing that society tells us that we need to be good at, that it automatically means that everything's going to be a cakewalk, that it's all going to just translate over. Like it takes work too. It takes a little bit of commitment and diving into it. So, I think you're talking to the right women, especially if you're talking to older women. I'm sure younger women could benefit from working through their stuff before it becomes part of their dating pattern. But to
100%.
all the women who are listening, and even men, if women are wanting to, let's say, do something different in their love life, whether it's I want to get back into dating, or I'm trying to find the man of my dreams, or I'm in a relationship and I'm trying to, solidify the connection. What is the one thing that they could do to start heading into that direction that they would want?
I think the first thing is to get clear on where they're at. Like, be radically honest with what's going on, because until we get clear on what we want and where we're at, we don't see the gap of like, oh, this is what we need in order to get you from here to here, right? And so, I can even share like an exercise, maybe like a journaling exercise. Okay, so this is actually the very first thing that I do with our clients when we work one-on-one together. So through what we call a breakthrough session. So it's like a 1-day intensive that I work with our clients. And the very first question that I ask them is, why are you here? Why do you want to break through this once and for all? And then I have them tell me all the reasons. And so if you're listening, you can grab a journal, a notebook, and just start writing all the reasons. And the first ones are going to be like kind of surfacey, right? It's like the things that but then once you keep going, you're going to see some like gems in there that you might not even realize are underneath, right? Yeah. And so writing things out, for example, what comes up pretty common is you'll start noticing. So, brain dump basically. And then once you take a break, the second step is then to go back and look at your list. And I want you to look at three things specifically. So number one is, where did you write I don't statements? Like, I don't want to repeat this. I don't want to struggle. I don't want man or woman to cheat on me, right? Like, the I don't word is a very revealing word, because it's already showing you where there are patterns that you've experienced from the past that you don't want to repeat, right? So there's baggage around it, because there's emotional charge around, I don't want this thing, I don't want this thing, I don't want this thing.
Yeah.
And if you don't want something, you're actually putting so much attention on what you don't want that you actually draw that to you.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's gold. That's gold right there. Yeah. And also, I was going to add too, that it's also very telling when you write your reasons and you start with a negative, right? Mm-hmm. Because that shows me that you're pursuing something out of fear.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you're never really going to land the way that you truly want, because you're playing to not lose, basically.
Yeah. And
Go ahead.
Okay. So, and it shows like where there's still work for you, right? Because there's some negative experience that you're trying to avoid from the past that you don't want to repeat in the future. And by seeing that, it's very revealing, right? So that's number one, is to look at what are your I don't statements that you wrote down. Number two is look for conflicts. So where did you write, I want love, but commitment scares me? Or I want love, but marriage scares me? Or I want to be chosen, but part of me, wants to be independent. Like I feel like I might need to lose myself, right? Mm-hmm. Or I want to be open to love, but I don't want to get hurt again. Like these conflicts, they're thoughts that you're thinking that are in actual conflict with each other. And when you have a conscious desire and a subconscious belief that are in conflict, the subconscious always wins, because it's designed to keep you safe. It's designed to keep you alive, right? And so no matter what, it's going to protect that part of you more than what you say you want. So that's the second piece.
Yeah.
And then the third thing, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No, I was just echoing. I was like, oh, this gets deep. Yeah. Even with the journaling. Yeah. So go ahead. What's the last piece or the third piece?
Yeah. The third piece I would say is to look for like, what's the feeling underneath all of the statements that you wrote, right? Like if you say, I'm tired of struggling in this area, in love, or whatever area you might want to use it on, or, I hate this feeling, for example, like what's the feeling underneath that statement? Is it frustrated? Is it resigned? Is it hopeless? Is it really get honest with yourself, and you're going to start to see things that you might not be aware of, right? Like I'm tired of men ghosting me, or men, okay, that makes me feel rejected. And you might start to see, I've been feeling rejected for most of my life. And that's been a pattern that I didn't realize. If that's a belief system that I have, that I'm going to get rejected, I can see why maybe I don't put myself out there, because I'm going to reject myself before they get a chance to reject me, or I'm going to reject them before they get a chance to reject me. Right. So there are patterns that can, that are kind of like in plain sight if you know how to look. But a lot of times they're like in our blind spots that it's really hard for us to look. And that's where having a coach, having someone who's, trained in doing this is going to be really helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, you sharing those prompts and that journaling exercise, I think a lot of women could get a really good head start. And kind of like with the work I do, it's like I can give you all the prompts you want. You can do it yourself. And sometimes the implementation is where you need that support, right? Because you may not be challenging yourself to the level that you need to be challenged.
100%.
Giving yourself a massage, right? You could do it, but you're going to be very limited in the outcomes you want.
That's so good. And also too, awareness is just the first step, right? Actually changing it, uprooting it. It's like if there's a weed, you don't know what the root is, you can't pull it out. You're just whacking it at the top, right? Like seeing that there's a weed is different than actually pulling it out. So
analogy.
That's the second piece, is like, okay, you got awareness now. Now let's work on doing release work so you're free from it. It's actually uprooted.
I love that analogy. I mean, ladies, okay, so Mayan just gave you some prompt to get you aware of your weeds. But, the uprooting takes some work, right? So tell folks, I mean, you have something else coming up. So what's this big thing that you got going on? Let people know so they can join.
Yeah. Okay. So we are hosting a masterclass, which we're really excited about, because it's called The Hidden Reason That High Achieving Women Attract Emotionally Unavailable Men.
Oh my gosh, this does not dig into or press someone's buttons. I mean, I feel like almost just about everyone has had that happen. So definitely.
We hear it very often. Yeah. That's why we thought it was really important to cover this topic. And we're going to cover the exact way, like the mechanism that your beliefs get formed, so that you understand what's going on, and then how to actually dismantle it. Like what is the work that can actually take it apart, so that you're no longer driven by it. You're no longer controlled by it.
And is this in person, virtual? How can people tune in?
Virtual.
Okay, it's virtual. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
and you'll probably do your own marketing and things like that. So, but folks, if you're listening, just make sure you're following Mayan. She's on social media, just wherever tell people your platforms. You're on Instagram. I know that, but,
Yeah.
are you on anything else that people can find you on?
Facebook, LinkedIn, and then
Okay.
our website, yourepiclove.com/masterclass if people are interested in joining the free masterclass.
Your epic love. I love that because that's the outcome you want for your people. So that's awesome. That's
Yes.
so cool. Well, Mayan, thank you so much for your just sharing with us, your story and just how you're helping women today, because I think we're both in the space of women empowerment. We're just doing things, trying to help them achieve different outcomes. So folks, if you found this valuable, give her a follow. And honestly, like if you are in need to find love, like that's what you desire, there's no shame in reaching out and say, hey, I just need some help. Because if the difference between you finding the love of your life and you staying by yourself is just that you had to be embarrassed for 2 minutes, I feel like it's worth it. So
I love that. Yes. And
yeah.
I mean, I think that that's such a good point, because that is something that we hear is like, why should I get help around finding love, right? Like I want it to happen organically. Like that's the dream is you're at Whole Foods and you're reaching for the organic, avocado and then you fall in love, right?
Movie, right? Yeah.
Yeah, in the movies. But if you think about your career or your job or even your health, like you have a plan, you have a strategy. I know we talked about strategies, but you have like an actual steps of how to get to your goal. But why is love any different? Because a lot of women just wing it and they're just hoping that it's going to happen. And a lot of times they don't even leave the house, right? They're like, I just want him to show up at my door. So unless you're wanting the Amazon delivery guy or, Uber Eats guy, like we get to look at what's going on, like the what's so of what's happening and shift that. So
I love it. All right, ladies, if you're tired of winging it, because he's not just going to be Amazon to you, talk to Mayan. Let us know how join her mastermind and let us know if this episode has been helpful. Thank you so much, Mayan, for joining me today and just having this really cool conversation.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.